Hello and welcome. My name is Christina from Empowered Creator. I am a mindset and conscious manifesting teacher and coach, and this is my YouTube channel. Here I talk about all things law of assumption, mindset, conscious manifesting, the quantum universe, and a lot more. And my goal is to simplify everything without the fluff. So if you guys like this content and you would like to see more of it, I would love it if you would subscribe to this channel, like this video, comment on it, share it, and just stick around. Also, if you need any help with your specific situation, I offer one-on-one coaching, email coaching, small group coaching, as well as custom subliminals for whatever needs you may have. So if you're interested in any of these services, the links are below in the description box. Click on them and they're going to take you to my website. With all that being said, let's get to today's video. Today's video is going to be something that I've announced a couple of weeks ago, and that is manifesting success stories. I asked you guys to send me your success stories, manifesting whatever desire. And several of you actually emailed me or messaged me on Instagram with your stories, so thank you. So today what I'm going to do is I'm going to read your stories, and then at the end I'm also going to tell you a few stories. One is from a client, one is from my family, from a member of my family, and I'm also going to share a couple of my own success stories. So stay tuned. So first I'm going to start with a few stories from you guys, the subscribers of this channel. And as I promised, they're all going to be anonymous. I'm not going to mention any names or any other identifying details. So let's get started. The first one, it was sent to me on Instagram. It's about a specific person. And she says, so I dated this guy for a very long time, but then he decided to break up with me. For 2 years, I was sad, apathetic, and miserable. I asked him to talk to me, to get back with me, and so on. In the end, he told me that he had a girlfriend and he didn't want to talk to me ever again. But then I found the law of assumption community. I started affirming every day. I lived my life to the fullest, enjoying every day as much as possible. And out of the blue, he contacted me and said that he missed me. Yay! But it wasn't enough for me. I wanted him to conform, and he did. He said that he loved me all this time and that he wants to get back with me. And to this day, he's still trying to get me back. The thing is that I do not really want him anymore, as my self-worth has grown immensely, and now I'm trying to manifest another SP. Haha. And I know it will happen, but the fact is, I got what I wanted. And I always do now, thanks to the law. Okay, so that was a great story. Moving on to the next one. This one is about a salary increase, manifesting a salary increase. So she wrote, "Hi Christina, I saw your post about doing a success story special and I thought you could add my stories to yours." So this is interesting in a way that when I did that, I didn't know about Neville Goddard, and I've known more about the law of attraction. It turns out I was doing it from Neville Goddard's technique and manifested this without really knowing it. I manifested an important increase of 10% in salary. I did it by visualization and writing down affirmations for a few months. I was not looking too much into it, but I did focus on it. When I received the increase, it was the exact same scene I had imagined. I still have a hard time to believe that this came from me, but at the same time, I received the exact amount of salary I imagined. It came from you. Congratulations. Great story, and thank you for sending it. Okay, so this subscriber actually sent 2 stories, and one of them is about changing her state, changing her inner state, and how the world outside of her reflected it back. And the second is about manifesting new love into her life. So let's start with the stories. She says, my first story is about getting rid of excessive workload at work. I had manifested this myself, and it went on for many years, and it felt impossible to get away from. At some point, I decided that I'd had enough, and I spoke to both my line manager and the department director about it, but found a lot of resistance from both of them. I stayed firm in my decision that I had to reduce my workload, because it had also started to affect my health. I decided there was no other way. I realized that I had stayed in a victimhood state for too long and that everyone at work had been taking advantage of me. I immediately shifted into a state where I set my own boundaries and started to act on it by strictly doing only the necessary work and nothing more. I also stopped drinking too much coffee in case this was also affecting my health. Within 2 months, I was back to perfect health and my workload stayed at manageable levels from the moment I shifted out of the state of victimhood, even though the actual shift took about 9 months from the moment I had first realized I needed to do something about the workload. My second story is about manifesting new love. I had decided I wanted a new beginning and decided I wanted a new relationship that would be perfect for me. I started believing within myself that that perfect person for me existed and was out there. Good job. This feeling was very strong within me, even though I didn't have any signs in my 3D reality at the time. I just knew inside that he was out there. At that time, I felt like I loved the entire world. 3 months later, he came in. I didn't do anything, everything happened by itself, and he was a perfect match to me, and it was love at first sight for both of us. What great stories, thank you. Okay, so this subscriber also sent 2 stories. One is about scoring top grades at college, and the other one was manifesting a specific opportunity, and you'll see what I mean. So she says this is her name from a city in India. I'm a college student and I would like to take this opportunity to share my stories with everyone. There was a phase in my life where I lost confidence in myself and was quite kind of frustrated with the circumstances which seemed uncontrollable to me. In desperate need to change my life for the better, I looked up for many solutions on the internet and I found one, The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Dr. Joseph Murphy. Good one. It blew my mind that our subconscious really has the power to change the circumstances the way we want. I wanted to try the methods recommended, and I affirmed that I would score full grades in a particular subject which seemed really hard to understand. I thought I just have to fool my conscious mind to believe this and keep focusing on this thought. I continued studying, and when I studied, I never even once thought about the desire, did not even affirm during those moments, nor doubted it. I just focused on one thing, and that was the subject itself. During a break, I used to say, I'll score full marks. And this felt as if God shared a secret with me, saying, this is going to happen, as if somehow you already know what's going to happen, and then all your worries go away. I was very confident. Skip to the night before my exam, I still had 1 whole chapter left to study, but I went through it just once, not going much into detail. During the exam, I had one particular question related to that exact particular topic, and I wasn't sure about the answer. Now what happened was that the invigilator, supervisor, came near my desk, saw my answer, and left. After a few minutes, he came again near me, and this time he pointed out my mistake in such a way no one else could hear. He literally helped me. This is so rare, and I never imagined something like that would actually happen. Well, results came out, and there were just 2 students who scored full, and I was one of them. I wasn't surprised though, because literally it was like, I already saw the future, I knew this was gonna happen. Congratulations, you manifested that. So she also sent another story, which goes, it was my 12th grade, and I wanted to share a few words about this wonderful teacher who supported me a lot during my difficult phase. This had been on my mind for 2 years, that before leaving my school, I'm definitely going to let him know and share this feeling and respect I had towards my teacher. So a day prior to my farewell, I had prepared a speech where I mentioned him, but somehow my parents didn't agree to this, as it would not look good and respectful if I talked only about him, so they suggested that I make the speech general. They were right, and I was left with no choice. On the day of the farewell, I was sitting in the last row, but we were asked to change our seats to the front, as those were the only empty seats left, and it wouldn't look good if the front row was empty. The row basically had 3 seats left, and 2 of my friends took their seats, leaving the middle one for me. And so after getting seated, our juniors made us play a game. There was a paper chit stuck under some of the chairs. I guess we would also call them post-it notes here. Stuck under some of the chairs, and those who got those chits had to perform the task written on it. As I bent down to check if there was any cheat under my seat, I was mentally saying, "Not me, please, not me." And well, it was as if the universe didn't listen to me, and I found the cheat. You wouldn't believe what was written on it. Talk about your favorite teacher. I got the opportunity. I was so happy. You know, there was this bridge of events forming, making me change my seat and everything. I never affirmed it day and night like it's my only goal in life. What I did was confirm myself that I'm going to give a speech on my farewell, and it didn't seem impossible to me, so I never doubted it. I used to say this from my 10th grade, that this particular teacher is someone who has supported me a lot, and he's the kindest person I've ever seen, and before leaving this school, I have to show my gratitude towards him, and I will. Because of that particular moment, I was feeling ecstatic the whole day. This was my beautiful manifestation story. Thank you for reading. Thank you for sending it. So this one is from another subscriber, and it's just a couple fun manifesting stories, kind of random, fun stuff. So she says, one thing I created years ago, I asked my guides to find a 4-leaf clover. Well, I did, exactly where I was directed to go to in my yard. I was on just over a 1/4 acre of land at the time. Impressive. I found 3 this way. Of course, my desire to find the 4-leaf clover was not in desperation. Another fun one, the first thing I knowingly did was ask to see white feathers. Well, the next day, right outside my front door, was a pile of white feathers in a perfect circle shape, completely filled in the size of a dinner plate. No bird, no trail of white feathers anywhere else, no blood, nothing to indicate an animal was hurt. It both amazed and had me a little spooked, although I knew it was directly connected with my request. She also shared another instant manifestation, which has to do with actually listening to her higher self and taking action based on what her higher self communicated to her. So let's read this one. She writes, in regards to an instant manifestation, I went to a unibar pub with a friend and her boyfriend who drove us there. I don't know why, but I felt really anxious about the place. I shared this with my friend and said I'd like to leave. She kept saying, not yet, let's stay a bit longer. It was about an hour's drive to get home and I couldn't afford to take a taxi cab. So I sat there and quietly demanded to my higher self to get me out of there now. Literally, in less than 1 minute, the ceiling above the dance floor collapsed onto everyone. Oh my gosh. It was so bad they had to shut the place down immediately and we had to leave then and there. I later told my friend of this and she said, remind me not to piss you off. My mood was not half-hearted. I was very adamant and strong in my conviction that night. All right. So this one is from another subscriber who actually manifested physical appearance changes. So let's hear it. I have successfully changed my eye color from deep brown to hazel just by imagining and using short scenes. Also changed my height, hair thickness, jawline definition, muscle toning, and cured my terrible stomach aches almost completely at this point just by affirming and using SATs, that state akin to sleep. It's incredible to look at yourself and look like a totally different person and know you have such power within you to cause those changes. Especially when I noticed my eyes started changing and perfect green circles forming around my iris, it was stunning. I will never forget that. Needless to say, all the biology classes I had in high school got dumped. Lol. Of course, I never talk about it with people openly, and if people notice, I just say, I always had green eyes, I don't know what you mean. I definitely don't regret this, as my faith has skyrocketed, not only in the accuracy of the law, but also the cosmic intelligence that operates beneath our conscious surface and is able to perform such precise changes not even modern plastic surgery can do, without turning one blind at least. All right, that was great too. Thank you so much. So this next one is about a specific person, and it's actually from one of my clients. We've done some coaching together. She's also purchased one of my subliminals, and she has been seeing some crazy movement from her specific person through what were seemingly very hard circumstances. And I'm going to give a little bit of background without giving identifying details. But I expect her to have that full manifestation in very soon. So what was happening with her was that she was having some blocks and some struggles manifesting her specific person, because he is about 17 years younger. He lives about 6 hours away from her. They had been in no contact for a long time. I'm talking more than 3 years. He also had her blocked in some platforms, in some of the social media. There were a lot of circumstances. There wasn't specifically a fight between them, but he had essentially said that they can't be together for this and that reason, and it had kind of stayed there. There had also been a lot of hurt because there had been ghosting in the circumstances. There was a lot that was weighing on her. So we did coaching and we discussed about what would be some better ways to look at the situation, how she could get rid of some limiting beliefs that she had about the situation. She also had this whole story about twin flames, runner, chaser, and this can sometimes create some blocks in manifesting. She was also very afraid to actually focus on him in imagination because of the whole twin flame narrative that says that you shouldn't actually focus on your specific person, or your twin flame. So she had a lot of fear towards that. She also had even more fear because she had their sort of rejection with all that ghosting and being blocked and the lack of contact for quite a while. So there was quite a lot to tackle there. But after she started implementing what we discussed in our coaching sessions, she started seeing some crazy movement. And let me tell you what happened. First of all, that guy, she started intending that they have communication and that he starts opening up the lines of communication with her. That was her very first intention before she manifests a committed relationship and all that. She decided to go in steps. We decided it was going to be easier for her in her case because she was having a lot of doubts through her rational mind. So what happened was, she started intending for communications. She started intending that he would open up the lines of communication with her. And her specific person had not posted anything on Instagram since, I believe she said, August 2021. And just a few days after she said that intention and she started focusing on that intention, he started posting on Instagram again. Now, a couple days after that, my client, she wrote a comment underneath someone else's, some common friend's post on Instagram, and the comment was a heart. And her specific person, get this, commented right underneath her comment with a heart as well, mirroring her exact comment, and writing heart, love, always. So that was some crazy, crazy movement. Imagine again, there had been no contact between them for over 3 years. There had been ghosting, there had been blocking in social media platforms and in other platforms. There was a lot of background, okay? So this is super, super exciting. Then I believe a day or two later, she posted some drawings that she had done because she's an artist. And one of them depicted her specific person as Saint Nicholas. And she wrote something along the lines of, "This is my favorite Saint Nicholas," or something like that. Now, in a lot of Western cultures, for those of you who don't know, Saint Nicholas is also the same person as Santa Claus. And the next day, her specific person posted a picture of himself through an app as a Santa Claus. And he even started a new Instagram account with that picture as Santa Claus. Yet a few days after that, he actually sent an Instagram request to one of her friends who he had no connection with, requesting her to be friends on Instagram. So you can see that my client's intention, that he is watching her, that he wants to reopen communication with her, is fully in motion. And I'm so excited about her. Congratulations. I know you're watching, and I'm very, very confident that you're going to have more and more movement and your full manifestation is coming in. Okay, so a couple more stories. This one is from my own mom, and that happened a few years ago when she was still working. She's now retired. So she used to work for this company for a long, long time, a few decades, in fact. And at some point, they decided it was a foreign company that had a branch in the city my mom lives in. And they decided at some point that things weren't going well and that they were going to close that branch, that office that my mom worked in. Now, there was no other branch in the country of that company. So that meant that if they closed the branch, if they closed the office, that she would have to be laid off. She would be losing her job. Well, what she did, without knowing that she implemented the law, is that she did not accept the external circumstances. She did not accept the 3D that she didn't like. So from the moment she heard this news that we're going to close the office, we're going to close the branch, she just didn't accept it. She kept telling herself, I'm not going anywhere. I'm keeping my job. I'm not going anywhere. Nothing is happening to me. I'm actually going to retire in this company. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not losing my job. I'm keeping my job. I'm staying here. I'm retiring in this company. That was her whole state. That was the whole affirmations that she kept repeating. That was her whole mentality. Now, the 3D, get this, got even worse because the headquarters actually sent a team of people, a team of like 4 or 5 people, to look at the books and to look at everything in that branch with a view of closing the branch, closing that office as they had announced. My mom kept not accepting this. She literally had 4 people, 5 people from the headquarters looking through everything, looking through the books, looking through everything, whatever it was that they were looking, in her way, all day, 8 hours a day. She didn't budge. She had this strong conviction in herself that nothing was going to happen. She was staying there. She wasn't going anywhere. She wasn't going to lose her job. She was just keeping her job, retiring from that company. Over and over again, she had that strong conviction. She remained completely unmoved from what she was seeing happening right in front of her eyes. That's very, very important. We always say that. And she did that unknowingly, without knowing the law at the time. So she did that. She kept that conviction. Long story short, what happened was that a few weeks later, the headquarters announced that actually they decided not to close the office. They decided to keep it, and they would just report to another manager, another director from the branch in another country. And that was that. So she kept her job. She didn't go anywhere, just like she said. And a few years later, she actually ended up retiring from that company, just like she had said. And so I know that I also promised to share some of my own success stories. I'm just going to share a couple here. I'm going to try to be concise. So one of them is how I manifested the house that we live in right now. And how that happened was we were moving to a different city from the city we were before. And we were looking for a house. We were renting for a little while, for a few months. We were looking for a new house. And the area we wanted was actually out of budget. And not only was it out of budget, but we also had a whole list of requirements that we would love to have, but that made it even more out of the budget. So yeah, we had a lot of requirements. We wanted a very specific area that is prime real estate location here in our city because it was very central. At the same time, we also wanted a very quiet neighborhood and a very quiet home. We also wanted what we call a ranch style home, which is all the main living areas being in one floor, and then you have the basement, which is very common. You basically can't avoid having a basement where we live. But most of the houses, the vast majority of the houses in this area were actually 2 floors plus the basement. We wanted less stairs, so we really, really wanted a ranch style home. So we wanted prime real estate location, quiet neighborhood at the same time. We wanted the ranch style home, or we wanted a view. And we also wanted a house that wouldn't be too much of a project. Now, we were open to doing a little bit of remodeling, maybe some aesthetic, some cosmetic changes here and there, but we didn't want any major projects. So we didn't want a major fixer-upper. So with all these criteria, essentially it was impossible to find anything in our budget in the area that we wanted. However, I kept my conviction. I didn't budge. I just knew. I was very calm inside. I knew we were going to find it somehow. I knew it was going to happen. I knew we were going to have everything that we wanted. I just knew it. So what ended up happening, which was a very fun bridge of incidents, was that we were working obviously with a real estate agent, and we were going out a few evenings a week to see maybe 2 or 3 or 4 homes, one after another. And what happened that evening was that one of the appointments that we had got canceled or pushed back for another day. And so she said, well, why don't we go see another house instead? So she suggested one. She sent us the email with a link of one of the houses she had found, and we weren't crazy about the location. So we said, well, how about this one? And this one was a house that had been coming up over and over and over and over again in listings, and we had basically skipped it, and we had kind of rejected it from the outset because in the pictures it looked like a major fixer-upper, which we didn't want. It looked like a major project. So we didn't select it, we didn't shortlist it to go see it. But we had an opening, we had an open slot, and we said, you know what, it's in the area we want, might as well go look at it. So we go, and it was this house. We come in, and it was not like the pictures at all. I know usually the opposite happens. The picture make the house look fantastic, and then you go in and you're like, Here, it was the exact opposite. The pictures just weren't doing it justice. And we come in and we're like, wow, This is everything we want and everything we need. And it wasn't a big cosmetic project like it looked in the pictures. It did need a few cosmetic changes, and we're happy to do that. But it was essentially move-in ready. And we were shocked. And it was in the location we wanted. It was in our budget. It was a ranch-style home, the only ranch-style home in our block, let me add, the only one in our block. And it was also, it also has a view. And it is also in a cul-de-sac, which means it's in a street where cars do not pass by. So it's actually very quiet. So we got the location, we got the budget, we got the ranch-style home, we got the views, we got the cul-de-sac, the quietness. We got everything. And we were, well, I wasn't that stunned because I knew it was going to happen. But still, it's always a pleasant surprise when it happens. So yeah, we put in an offer, it was accepted. The house had been sitting in the market for like 3 months. Luckily for us, their agent hadn't done a good job promoting it with the pictures or everything. It looked horrible in the pictures, to be honest. And so yeah, we were the only ones who put in an offer after 3 months. They gave it to us, they accepted it, we closed in a month, and the rest is history. The house is ours. Another story I wanted to share was how I manifested healing for this girl who we worked together with as volunteers in this charity. And what happened was that she had a cardiac arrest while she was running, while she was jogging. And her brain stayed without oxygen for quite a long time until she was found collapsed and she was taken to the hospital. And by the time she was taken to the hospital, the doctor said that she had no upper brain function at all. And there was even a discussion of should we keep her on life support or should we take her off life support? Well, luckily her husband decided to keep her on life support, and she stayed on it for a few months. During that time, I and also several of her friends, without, obviously I didn't know these people, without communicating with one another, we kind of all at the same time decided to contribute to her healing. So people were posting on her Facebook and talking to her as if she was basically fine and that she was able to read the posts and see them. And what I was doing on my end was that I would go to her Facebook page every single day. And for 2-3 minutes every day, I would speak to her picture. I would say, I'm very, very happy you're healed. I'm happy you're well. I'm happy you're whole. I'm happy you're perfectly healthy now. I'm happy you're fully recovered. And I would just talk to her picture for 2 minutes a day, every single day. And also when we had meetings with the rest of the team, I would always imagine her being there with us in those meetings, in those Zoom calls. So I did those 2 things for about 2 months. Remember, she had no upper brain function. After 2 months of doing that, day after day, talking to her picture and intending for her and just talking to her as if she was fine. And also, I want to say again, with the help of her friends, I feel like that was more of a collective manifestation, but I do know I did my part, and I know I did believe in it. We got word that she woke up and she went into rehab. Now, almost 2 years later, she's essentially back to normal. Believe it or not, she's back to normal. And the last story I wanted to share today, which was a very recent manifestation and also a very quick one because I only did it once. My husband recently celebrated an X number of years working at the company he works for. And it's not one of those companies that are, it's more of a startup. And so they don't necessarily have the established procedures for the annual review and annual raises and all that kind of stuff. It's kind of more casual than that. Anyway, we had discussed on and off how nice it would be if he could get a raise by the time that his work anniversary came up. So we happened to discuss a few weeks ago how his work anniversary was coming up. We didn't say anything about the salary. I just remembered it. And I did a very quick imaginal act in my head where I just imagined his boss. I'm not going to say his name. Let's call him John, okay? That's not his real name. But what I did was I imagined a very short, quick inner conversation with his boss. And all I said in my head was, thank you, John, for giving Carl a raise. That was it. And then I dropped it. And then I almost kind of forgot about it. Well, 3 days after that, 4 days after that, they got on a call and my husband's boss offered him a raise for his work anniversary. So that was a very, very recent and very, very quick, very, very fast manifestation. Like I said, I only did it once. So I hope you have enjoyed this special episode with all the success stories. Thank you to everyone who sent in their success stories. I'm looking forward to doing more of those in the future. For now, I'm going to wrap up this video here. I hope that you have enjoyed it. I hope that it has helped motivate you, encourage you, and give you strength to keep going. And as always, I appreciate all of you guys being on this channel, watching this content. I wish you all a very happy holiday season, and I'm going to see you all at the next video. Until then, take care and bye-bye.